Alright everybody, this will be warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024. Get rid of that. Part 107, I believe. 107C or something like that. So anyway, talking about taxes and wages and things like that. Like those numbers I showed, those are just, it's the idea. Like the wages could be $1 more an hour or $1 higher or whatever. Just those ideas of, we got to move forward. A lot of the labor laws and stuff are just, they're antiquated, and this gives employers and employees more options. Gives small business, more options, hiring part-time stuff. So like we could throw in there also, we could throw in for part-time and like casual part-time or whatever. You throw in every 3 months you earn a sick day and like a vacation day or something like that, vacation personal use day or something, because like those part-time positions, you're only working 3 days a week, or the one where you're working 4 days a week and only putting in so many hours. So you could you put that into the law, and then you put into the law that all of those wages will only go up as far as the government and the states are concerned, like 10 cents a year or something. Because the minimum wage is just supposed to be a base point, a starting point. And then people are supposed to try to achieve, and through that and good work and seniority and stuff, is get raises from their employers. It's not the government's place to tell employers to give employees raises automatically. It could be a lousy employee. It could be somebody who doesn't show up on time half the time and doesn't do a great job, and they should automatically get some kind of raise every year for being mediocre. So people got to understand that the minimum wage is just like the basic starting point, and then it's up to you to try to achieve and to move forward and to better yourself and stuff. So you people out there, you want everybody just to make the same amount of money and everything. $15 an hour for whether you're working at McDonald's or a nurse or somebody who's had to go to school and learn something, a trade. That's not right. That's not fair to the people who go out and go and get go to a nursing school, or go to a welding school, or go to any kind of trade where they learn a trade to try and get a better paying job. That's it's not fair to them for and whatever kind of, if you're doing honest work and you're showing up every day, it doesn't make a difference what you're doing. If your education ain't that great, you're landscaping, you're a dishwasher or something like that, or I worked in restaurants, a dishwasher, busboy, cook, went into management, valet parked, and it was work, and it was honest work. You're making an honest buck. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not a long-term choice for a career for a lot of people. I mean, unless you're in some place where you're really making good money at, a real busy place, a high dollar place, or if you're going to go up the management train and up into, being a district manager and stuff, there's really not a career path there other than that. I mean, if you want to be satisfied being a dishwasher for your whole life, that's your prerogative, but you're not going to get the things out of life that you're going to want or be able to take care of your family on that. So, having a minimum wage is just that. It's a starting point, and then, you should want to try and better yourself and achieve. And it's not fair to people who go out and get an education or go to a trade school or work their way up in some type of business or something to all of a sudden say, people who haven't made the same effort all of a sudden are making the same amount of money as you. And the prices of everything will go sky high. So it's got to be like, something minimal to where that minimum wage, because the free market, you got to understand that the free market, is with labor too. You have to understand, and that's what people don't understand about, the illegal immigration and stuff and everything. All right, if you know anything about real estate, buyer's market and seller's market. Supply and demand. It's basic supply and demand. If you have more people and less jobs, guess what? Wages stay down. If you have a lot of jobs and not enough people to fill those jobs, then employers will incentivize coming to work for them through either higher wages or better benefits or bonuses, etc., like that. But when you have so many businesses in this country using illegals as their labor, like I said, I called them, before you got like wranglers and stuff. They might even be set up as a legitimate like labor pool business, so that the primary business hires them to fulfill, a job, provide workers to work in a warehouse or to work construction or to whatever. And then that way they're keeping their hands clean. So then that labor pool guy or wrangler, he's the one paying all the illegals to do the work. And then if immigration or, customs or Border Patrol, whoever, busts people on that kind of stuff, goes in and rounds them all up, the ownership of the business or the corporation can say, hey, we farmed that out. That's subcontracted. We didn't hire those people. That labor pool guy hired them people. You see, that's how they get around it. And the politicians know that. The politicians who are for illegal immigration know that. And they're getting paid. I guarantee you, if you were to trace back, they're getting paid. And seeing what a lot of the people, even the illegals themselves, excuse me, who take these jobs and stuff, and play it off. They get on, news and stuff. Hey, we're just here to raise our. Hey, everybody understands that. But there's 20 other people behind you who also came in illegally and want that job. And so, there you are. You're there doing that. Like I seen this one guy. He was saying about how they're underpaid and all this, and no one else wants to do their jobs. And he said about how much they were paid per bushel to pick whatever they were picking. And it was like, he went to the store and like one of what he was picking cost the same amount he got paid per bushel or something. And he was making it out to be like, how unfair that is and stuff. And it's like, well, number one, you put yourself in that situation by being here illegal. Number two, if you just look at the business side and everything, market prices for fruit and vegetables and all that go up or down. So the grower is going to try and shield themselves as much as possible and pay the least amount possible. And if the guy on the farm down the road is selling his product, for X, he's got to be able to match that price, which means he's going to use cheaper labor. And you put yourself in that position. So it's no good for anybody, because you got these illegals coming in, and they'll be like, yeah, there's no problem. Why are you calling us illegals? We're just here to work, and we're human beings, and this and that. So's the 20 guys behind you. You understand that? And the reason you can't get more per bushel for your labor is because there's so many of you here. It's supply and demand. If there was less of you here, those growers would need people to pick their crops, and they would pay more. It's not rocket science. And people you got to cut through all the bullshit and see what's going on here. It's cheap labor for a lot of businesses. Some of them small business, even them Hollywood celebrities and the politicians who get busted using illegals for their house servants and stuff like that. Or their landscaping. What's the first thing they say? Well, I don't know. I went through this service. I didn't hire that person particularly. How am I supposed to know they're illegal? I hired through XYZ service. They provide the labor. They're the ones who were supposed to check legal status. So it's all a big fucking game. And the people who say, let more in, even the people themselves trying to come in, don't understand the fact that there are so many of them that there's more of them than there are jobs, which means it's going to suppress wages. It's supply and demand. Same thing out here with these trucks. It's supply and demand. If the economy's up and people need trucks, you can get a higher rate because they need somebody to pick up their stuff. And it gets harder for them to find an available truck to ship their orders on. But then when the economy's down, then, the rates fall. And if it goes down enough, then we sit place to place and we don't make any money. And if you want to look at NAFTA, hey, a lot of jobs left this country for NAFTA and in the 90s and went other places. And I heard a lot of people in manufacturing who worked in factories, a lot of them ended up out here driving these trucks. So while the economy did pretty good in the 90s, and we were out here making money hauling goods because we're getting them from the border or from the ports, NAFTA didn't affect the transportation industry that much. It affected the Mexican side on the border, because a lot of the bigger companies went after that freight. And because of the competition, it drove freight rates down. So the average Mexican owner-operator who was bringing stuff up across the border before NAFTA, who had a big Ken Mex W900, truck with all the lights and everything like that, he was doing all right because there was no competition for the freight. But once NAFTA went in and all these big companies started getting into either buying Mexican companies or the Mexican companies themselves competing with each other for the freight coming north, those rates went down. And those Mexican owner-operators who had the big fancy trucks disappeared. Laredo boomed. It became a boom town. But a lot of the people who were involved with the cross-border freight lost 30 to 50% of what they were making, bringing it across. The rates went down so much. So it's supply and demand, it's competition, it's a lot of things. And all you people who scream, you're just racist because you don't want Mexicans coming up here. That's bullshit. And you don't have a clue. If you're out there and you know more about a celebrity's lifestyle or a musician's lifestyle, if you know more about weed, if you know more about, whatever, athletes, sports, you can tell me the Celtics roster for every year since their inception, and what years they won the championships and all that and everything, or you can do that with the whole NBA. Fine and dandy. But if you don't know how the economy works, if you don't understand supply and demand and free market and all those types of things, then shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. If you're just listening to those talking heads on TV who want to tell you everything is racist and everything, is to oppress other people and stuff, you don't have a clue. Because all those illegals and all these people trying to come to this country to work are just going to drive down wages. Because it's supply and demand. And once one company starts hiring them, whoever's in competition with that company is going to have to do something. That's the same thing. Once one company, if you go back and watch Ross Perot, back when he ran for president, he said it. He told it right there. Bill Clinton was for NAFTA. Ross Perot was against it. Ross Perot said, if you push that through, you're going to hear a sucking sound of all the jobs leaving this country. And that's exactly what happened, and that's what Trump is trying to fix right now. It's the same with tariffs and all the other stuff. There is so much stuff behind it, and so many people who are just trying to protect their own interests instead of looking out for you, the average American. The governor of California, all them politicians out there and everything, who do you think they get their money from? Who do you think they get their support from? It's people who use illegal labor. It's people who want cheap labor. And then they got their lobbyists and their talking heads, their so-called experts who will go on these news channels and stuff and spew a bunch of crap when they know what the truth is, because they have some sort of education about supply and demand and etc., and they know how the system works. But they're not going to tell you that. They're just going to tell you, oh, it's a bunch of hooey and it's racism and all this and everything like that. And the whole time they should be ashamed of themselves because they're lying to a large portion of the population who is uneducated, who doesn't know how things work, and they're steering them in the wrong direction, and it's actually going to hurt those people. They'll act like they're trying to help everybody and they care about their fellow man and all this and everything, and these poor people coming up have nothing. They don't care about them. They're being paid to spew all that shit to influence your thought process, and they're only doing it because it's going to line the pockets of the people who are paying them to spew the shit. It's the same, you people out there, you care about Breanna Taylor. You care about Breanna. No, you don't. You're a fucking liar. You're a goddamn liar, and you're ignorant. There's thousands of Breanna Taylors out there in this country. Thousands of them. Who are either dealing drugs themselves or have boyfriends or husbands who are dealing drugs. And maybe, I don't know about Breanna, but maybe there's a lot of them out there who don't want to be in that situation. Where were you? Suppose Breanna didn't want to be in that situation. Where were you for her before what happened? If you cared so much, where are you out there getting these girls away from these drug dealing boyfriends and husbands, and getting their children away, endangering their children? You know, Hollywood, you know, especially back when I was growing, you'd always see these made-for-TV movies based on a true story. It's based on a true story, but from whose perspective? You know, they'd highlight the details of somebody's life that they wanted you to know. You weren't getting the whole story. Not the whole story. They could do a movie about Breanna Taylor and make her look like an angel, this and that, when the fact is she could have been just as nasty and ignorant as any of a street gang member, and violent as any of them that you can find. I don't know her. Did you know her? But the point is, if you people who say you care, there's thousands of Breanna Taylors out there right now. Where are you? Oh, you're out in the street blocking the highway. And then telling the cops they have no right to touch you. Don't touch me. I'd face plant you. Don't touch you, princess? I'm sorry. Did somebody tell you you were special? That you can come out here and block the freeway? Were you asked to leave and you didn't leave? Instead, you're standing there screaming in the officer's face when he's telling you to back up to get off the freeway? I'd face plant you and arrest you. Princess. Can't believe that shit. Who raises these people? Who the hell raises these people? That think they can live their lives outside the law any way they want to, and then, oh, don't touch me. Was Breanna Taylor like that? Was she a drug dealer thinking you got no right to tell me what to do? I'm going to live having drugs and guns coming and going inside her house where her kids were, endangering her kids? See, you would have been fine if there was some gang that went by and did a drive-by. If it was a drive-by that killed Breanna Taylor over the drugs, you wouldn't hear shit about that. Because that goes on in Chicago all the time, ain't it? Hey, all them little kids got killed. What if there was a drive-by that went by, some rival drug dealers shot and killed Breanna or shot and killed her kids or something? Make the news one fucking night, wouldn't it? Might make the news one fucking night, wouldn't it? One night. And then you wouldn't give a damn about it. You wouldn't give a damn about it. But because it was the cops trying to stop the drug dealing, you see what I say? Your thought processes are fucking backwards. It's the whole hood, I don't know, the hood mentality, the whole gangster mentality, has the rap music, through whatever, through culture, has invaded your fucking mind. It has invaded your mind. If it had been other gangsters or drug dealers who went and did a drive-by and killed Breanna Taylor or her kids, it'd make the news one friggin' night and you wouldn't give a shit about it. You didn't give a shit about what she was involved in or trying to get her out of it and her kids away from it. And there's thousands of girls out there like her, white and black, in situations like that, living that lifestyle. Some maybe reluctantly, maybe they want to get out of it. Maybe it's their boyfriend or their husband doing it and they want to get themselves and their kids out of it. Where the hell are you? We don't even have public service announcements anymore. You know, about say no to drugs, get away from drugs, the rock artists against drugs, rap against drugs. We don't even see that anymore. Used to see it in Sesame Street and all the things about staying away from that type of shit. We don't see that anymore. All we see is it promoted and glorified. If a gangster went by and shot Breanna Taylor because she was taking his drug revenue, you wouldn't give a fuck about it. You goddamn lying assholes. You lying fucking scumbags. Get the hell out of the street. Quit going around and harassing people and burning shit and screaming her name like you gave a fuck or you would give a fuck. You are some lying fucking scumbag pieces of shit running around with megaphones appointing yourselves some kind of leaders, and you're dumb as a box of fucking rocks. A bunch of uneducated, dumb as a box of fucking rocks morons who now all of a sudden somebody appointed them, hey, you're leader of this group, go out here and do this. Now you're somebody. You ain't nobody. You're a fucking dipshit. The lunacy that is taking place in this country right now, and the hypocrisy and the double standards is just unfucking believable. And the misinformation from smug fucking assholes like Dim Lemon and Cooper Anderson and all them motherfuckers. Smug fucking people. Just like a lot of them protesters, screaming at the cops and stuff and everything. Just scream louder than everybody. That's your idea. Smug little princesses. Don't have to listen to nobody. No, you're just going to scream and act the way you want. No. Well, guess what? People are getting fed up with that shit, and they're going to start just showing up and arresting you and face planting you, whether you like it or not. Because people are waking up to the fact that it's all a bunch of bullshit and people are making money off of it. And that all the narratives about, oh, this poor person or that poor person are bullshit. Notice how you didn't see the whole George Floyd video right from the start, did you? You don't get to see a lot of these videos right from the start, do you? No, just gonna show it. Hey, it's the cops. It's the cops' fault. Don't go out there and say what's her name and shit like you gave a fuck. Because if it had been a drive-by by a rival drug dealer or gang or something, it would have made the news one night. And all you politicians, oh, we got to, for Breanna, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. You're pandering. And making knee-jerk reactions. Instead of getting tough and saying, we got zero tolerance for this horse shit. We got zero tolerance for drug dealers. Sorry, even the female drug dealers, we have zero tolerance. You can't tell me you're involved in that type of lifestyle and you don't know that any minute the cops could kick in the fucking door. Well, see, it was no knock and everything, and the guy who shot at them thought they were other drug dealers. Oh, now I see. So that was all right for Breanna to be, and her kids to be in that situation. If she would have got shot by rival drug dealers while her boyfriend was, shooting at them, that would have been okay. That would have made the news one night. That would have been it. That would have been it. Nobody would have took to the streets, no nothing. So I'm telling all of you out there, put up or shut up. Put up or shut up, you ignorant sons of bitches. Put up or shut up. Take your money that you're collecting and go out there and find these girls and get them out of the situations they're in. Get out there in the neighborhoods and start educating these kids not to grow up into violent fucking assholes. To play with guns and deal drugs thinking, it makes them somebody. You want to get real? Let's get real. Because I ain't afraid to tell it how it is. I ain't afraid to say, hey, you're full of shit. And a lot of people are waking up to that. Not afraid to tell you you're full of shit just because you're going to try and scream over and call us racist or call us other types of names. We're not playing your games anymore. It's done. It's done. Tired of the misinformation and the people who get on TV, whether it's with immigration or anything, and spew a bunch of crap instead of pointing out how things really work. And that this is why you have to stop millions of people flooding across the border. It's not helping them any, and it's not going to help you any, for sure. But because the corporations and shit that use, like I said, Wall Street could give a damn who has the jobs. Trump wants you as an American citizen to have a job, a good paying job, to be able to learn a trade, etc. Wall Street don't give a shit who's doing the labor. They don't. As long as the work's done and the money's being made and they're getting theirs, they'll go live in the south of France somewhere. They don't give a shit. They could let the whole country could go to shit. It could become just like Mexico. They won't give a shit. Don't think Mexico's poor. Mexico ain't poor. A lot of very, very rich people in Mexico. A lot of minerals, a lot of oil, just like Africa. A lot of rich people in Africa. You wouldn't know it from all them starving people over there. There's a lot of wealth in Africa too. So if you want to straighten something out, you want to tell people how to live their lives and how they ought to do something, go practice somewhere. Go to Africa, go to Mexico, go somewhere else, straighten out those countries before you come here and try and straighten us out. We don't need you. End of story. Wish you all the best out there. Be safe on the roads. God bless. Adios.